Hi everyone. Well, it's been 2 weeks of contentment, and I'm willing to bet that, like me, not all of you were in a perfect, blissful state of contentment each day over the past 2 weeks. So, just having that word dangling over me, I began to think about when I was in contentment and what sort of shoved me off of that peaceful place. And a perfect example is when I tried to take a nap. I love naps. Anyone that knows me knows that sleeping is one of my favorite things on earth. And if I can get a little siesta on a weekend, just for 45 minutes in the middle of the day, and add to that a good book, a cup of chai tea, and maybe, and I do this, I put the air conditioning up, but then I put a blanket over me. I don't know if any of you are like that out here, but I love a blanket over me, even if it's hot out. So I had all the conditions in place for contentment. And then all of a sudden, my brain started. And that's what happens. You're in the middle of a perfectly fine situation or moment, and your brain starts. And I realized that it was the voice of condemnation. Not like judging me to hell or jail, but you really should be doing this, or here you are laying down and you could be doing that, or there are so many things on your to-do list and you're napping. So I started to realize that that voice of condemnation, which is somewhat appealing to my desire to accomplish and to do and to work hard, was the very thing that was stealing my sense of contentment in the moment. So how do we, as well-meaning, good, hardworking people, shut that down? And I think, as many things do, it comes back to settling into our own worthiness and listening to our bodies and our feelings. If your body is dragging and your feelings want to just recline as well, then do it. And don't be moved from that freedom. Give yourself permission to be content. One of the most popular posts the last couple weeks was, let what you do today be enough. It's enough. There will always be tomorrow and more things to do. And sometimes the very thing that we can do is, the very best thing that we can do is to just be. Those of you who've been watching for quite a while know I used to have a sign behind me that said, work hard and be nice. And I am still a proponent of being nice. But I'm also sort of sensing a shift that work doesn't have to be hard when you're going in the flow of life. There were some projects this past week that I made major progress on. And it was fun because I was moving in the flow of it and I was contented to do so. Then there's this other flip side to contentment, which is discontent. I'm not talking about when you're perfectly justified in taking a nap or not plowing through your to-do list. I'm just talking about that internal that just wants something more. And that's a good thing. Discontent is not intended for you to kick yourself and say, man, I should have this by now, or I should have that by now. It's simply a highlighter to say, this is what you can still believe for. Because you have to know what you don't want to get what you do want. And one of my favorite songs of all time is Joe Jackson's, you can't get what you want till you know what you want. Great song. I butchered it. But knowing what you want often comes from knowing what you don't want. And that is the beauty of discontent. So, kick condemnation to the curb and embrace discontent if it's urging you forward toward your dreams. Following up on contentment, I wonder what our word will be. So I'm saying a prayer for all of us. I am asking the angels and the Holy Spirit and all of our helpers unseen to help us pick the word, which is understanding. What immediately comes to mind is so often in conflicts, we seek to be heard or to win or to have our point of view embraced. But we can never fail to approach any situation if we seek to understand. And to understand requires curiosity. Have you ever had those dinner parties with people that never let you get a word in edgewise and all they do is talk about themselves? And you really like these people, but by the end of 3 hours, you want to just bang your head against the table and say, please get me out of here. Because life is not a monopoly of opinions. It's a give and take. It's a dance. Relationships are built on mutual understanding, mutual valuing, mutual interest. I love when people ask me what's going on with me, and in turn I can follow up, so what's going on with you? And if you, instead of judging that person that's really getting on your nerves, seek to understand where they might be coming from or why they might be coming from this a certain way, then you can sort of go, and not take it personally, which is the first of the 4 agreements. Understanding builds a bridge between people and surmounts problems. So before we step into judgment or offense, our word for the next 2 weeks is seek to understand. That's beautiful. Maybe we'll also have some understanding about our own hearts and souls and feelings as well, and some aha moments that go along with it. Whatever it is, I wish you a beautiful couple of weeks full of understanding.